Here we are, boys and girls, episode 7 of the Trash Talk Business Podcast. I'm Andy Weins, joined typically by Casey Bubba Lawrence, but he's off having a baby today, so congrats, Casey.
Congrats, Casey.
Baby number 2, a boy. I mean, he's not having a baby. His beautiful bride is, so God bless, but I'm sure he's going to be, tied up for the meanwhile. Anyway, so I'm joined today by Ken Oliver. Ken Oliver is a Marine Corps veteran and new to the junk rule industry. So, Ken, what are we going to talk about today?
Boy, I'll tell you what, there's a lot that we could talk about. I've been in the trash industry for now half an hour, 45 minutes. Really 3 weeks. This is my 3rd week, beginning of my 4th week. And I tell you what, I've learned a ton. There's so many different avenues and facets of this industry. It's really fascinating. So I'm looking forward to just learning more and talking about it with you this next hour.
Yeah, no, this will be interesting. What I've realized with podcasts, a lot of times they bring in 2 experts. And I love listening to podcasts. But often I think, well, where were these people 10, 15, 20 years ago when they were just getting into their field of study? What did they or did they not know? What assumptions did they have? And so here we have a really good opportunity. I've been doing junk removal for 15 years, theoretically 30. If I go back to being a kid, taking apart lock sets and driving with my dad and going up and down alleys. So it's all I've known, really. So here we have an opportunity with you and I for you to ask questions and give feedback as to what you've seen just in a few weeks, because there's a lot of our listeners that are in the junk removal industry, demolition, or entrepreneurial business owner, veteran or not veteran, that are fresh in. And you've been in it for a while. You either get used to some shit, you get jaded or conditioned to some things. So I'm excited today to hear from a fresh perspective, right? A few weeks of being in this industry. So first off, let's talk, what was your background before today? So then when we do jump in, it makes a little more sense. Where were you the last 30 years of your working life?
30 years. Let's go back. The last 10 years I've been in recruiting, executive recruiting engineers, running, recruiting departments, focused on, finding engineers for manufacturers, primarily in the Midwest and Wisconsin area. So running, leading small teams and doing business development. And it's really a sales job more than anything. So been doing that. Prior to that, I was in construction and in the Marine Corps. That was, that's 20 years of my life together. And really, primarily, I would say most of my adult life, I've had something to do with construction in one way or the other. So, and that brings me here today. Post-pandemic, recruiting industry was going to be working out of your basement, from here for the foreseeable future. And I wanted to get back out and see human beings again and be active and moving around. And so here I am. Obviously met you, and it's been a fascinating first 3 weeks of for a newbie like myself. I think the fun part is it's like treasure hunting, really. And I'm sure at some point that wears off. Maybe it doesn't, but I think you see. It's funny. We sort through things that we are removing from people's homes, and every truckload has a few things that you're like, that looks good. I'm going to take that home. At some point, I'm sure you could have your house full of some things from other people's homes, but the discipline and not doing that and looking beyond that and trying to stay focused is, as I think could be a real challenge. I can imagine you've kind of worked out some of those through some of those challenges in your career doing this. So that'd be fun to talk about. How, what's the progression? What have you seen? Did you go from being a treasure hunter to a businessman in the industry? And what was that progression like? That I think is be fascinating to talk about.
Yeah, I am a dreamer at heart. There's no doubt about it. My father does flea markets. He's a collector of sorts. He's a old school scrapper that finds joy in finding new things, and he thinks everything's worth twice as much as what the market will pay because he saw it sell one time long ago for a price. And yeah, the challenge I have in this industry, a lot of people have, is I want to find value in things, but I don't want to extend my resources to maximize the value, right? In order to maximize the value, we have to find the most amount of dollars against the effort, because Can I make more money if I hold on to things, if I play the market, if I find the perfect buyer? Probably. Yeah, absolutely. But when you bring in, thousands of pounds of material every day, like we do, right. There's a line somewhere where you got to say, okay, what can we or can't we do? And what can we or can't we keep? I got 20,000 square feet of the warehouse. Doesn't take much to fill it up. You've seen that yourself. You've seen the warehouse clean and empty, and within a few days, full.
Right.
And that was with processes. That was, it doesn't take much. Right. When we were running out of our backyard, it was real simple. We only had so much space. Yeah. Yet if it didn't fit in the garage, it was almost like, hey, is this thing cooler than the thing I have in the garage? If it is, get rid of the thing you got and replace it with something new. That was the extent of the logic there. When you have more space, you have certainly more flexibility, but doesn't mean your discipline changes. That's something internally.
Yeah. Have you have you had that progression? Would you see yourself, I know since I've been here, I've known there have been a few kind of back channel revenue streams that are kind of an offshoot of the, what we do here, which is junk removal or, item removal. Cause it's not really junk. I mean, it's kind of a misnomer to a certain extent, right? Because a lot of what we're taking is not really junk. It's items with, maybe they're not being valued by this person, but there's certainly value to be had there, right?
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, we talk junk removal. We use that terminology because that's what the SBA looks at us as. The SBA looks at junk removal as a subsegment of the waste industry. But yeah, it is a lot of things that have future life, future value. Right. And it absolutely has changed. We've had a resale company. We used to do flea markets. I used to sort scrap down the smallest piece. I used to take apart motors. I don't do that anymore. I mean, so many things that we used to do that we don't do anymore. We used to cut up, dehumidifiers and things like that had Freon, and then found out we were doing that, and it was illegal and unethical and unsafe, right? But that was 15 years ago. I didn't know at the time. I didn't know. Yeah, there you go. Right. But that was it. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're a tree hugger." It's like, no, I've done a lot of things wrong, and then someone corrected me, or I read a little legislation, or whatever. Hell, we had a scrap dumpster that got returned last week because one of our guys put batteries in it, and it was right. They found 2 lithium batteries in it, but then they had to sort an entire 40-yard dumpster and penalize us for it. Right? Well, in my head, yeah, you don't put lithium batteries in a shit iron dumpster because they can cause a fire. But if I didn't train that, well, that was a miss on our part, right? And so, yeah, you're constantly adjusting. Or up until about 3 weeks ago, we were sorting aluminum breakage separate than sheet iron, but the price of aluminum shot down, and so now we're not sorting aluminum breakage. We're just putting it in with the sheet iron, and they'll sort it on the other end. Right. So it's space, it's pricing of material. I mean, my father always said, when it comes to scrap, you're playing the stock market. Some days it's up, some days it's down, and you can look at some other indicators outside your industry to predict it, but you're shaking the dice, And
it's from the scrap aspect, it's the matter of really how long do you want to hold on to it, and how much is that real estate in the warehouse worth to you to get it out the door today? Right? Do we roll the dice and hope that the market goes back up for whatever commodity you've got stockpiled, and or do you just reuse the space and have revenue generated again to caused by that space being freed up? So we used to tie up a trailer all the time. We used to have a trailer or 2 at all times tied up so we could run our own scrap loads in. And then what happens over time is we're doing more scrap. Now we send out, typically, you've seen it just in a couple of weeks. We send out we have a 30-yarder and a 40-yarder on site. We send them both out once a week, if not more often. Hell, it's today where it's Monday and they're both half full, right, because they didn't get flipped last week. So we'll probably send them out midweek this week because we called them in last week on Wednesday or Thursday, and they get picked up till Monday. So we're sending out anywhere between 6 and 8 ton on those each week. It changes with scope and scale. When we had one trailer dedicated, that was hauling 2,000 pounds a week. A ton a week, maybe a hair over. And then it turned out, I remember by 1 year, I think 2018, we ran 400. I used to keep track of this really diligently. We ran like 429 scrap loads that year.
It's like, man, every morning we'd start by going to the scrapyard. That was because we would sort at night, and the first thing you did is go to the scrapyard, unload, and then go to your first job. It made sense to us because we couldn't put a 40-yarder in our yard at the time. Yeah. So there, you change your processes and how you hold on to stuff based on what square footage you have available, what the market says, how much material you're bringing in. Right now we're doing a lot of e-waste days, so we're getting a lot of flow of e-waste goods. So we got to dedicate space to it. Also being in the Midwest, right? We really got 6 months of, not snow and 6 months of snow. Right. So we flip our yard April 1st. There's a lot of stuff that we keep inside that we take outside for the summer and then vice versa. So it's those ebbs and flows. The biggest thing is knowing why you're doing stuff. I see a lot of junk removal guys that they're like, well, this is the way we've always done it. Or 2 years ago, the price was this and we're waiting for it to come back. It's like, man, prices don't always come back on certain things. You got to have a lot more predictability there.
Yeah. So I see it in our yard. You were talking about you were talking about breaking things down and taking motors apart and finding. At what point do you say, okay, we're only going to separate into a certain, there may be however many grades of aluminum that you separate into, or brass and copper and that. At what point do you limit yourself? This is enough Gaylords of this, this material, because you could probably have 100 different things that you're sorting to.
Yeah. The hillbilly math has always been $100 an hour. When we're sorting scrap, we got to sort at $100 an hour clip. And we have a pretty good gauge on that. My brother and I have been doing it for a lot of years. We know how many buckets of something we have to sort to get to $100 an hour. So for example, if number 2 insulated wire, let's say it's I could probably look it up right now. I'm just going to pull up scrap prices. I use the iScrap app. I don't love it. I use it when I'm looking at for trends. But if I look at scrap prices, and I'm pulling up right now, iScrap app. I'm just going to pull up what they got it. For anybody that uses it, I'm not like endorsing this in particular. So right now nationwide, steel averages $225 a ton. I know I got $200 a ton on Thursday, a load I sent out Thursday, right? So our price is a little bit lower than national average. That there isn't a real great methodology, but I can see trends. So right now, okay, I was going to say $1 a pound. Insulated wire is $1.03 right now, and it's up from last week. Okay, so I was going to use $1 a pound. Simple, fine. All right. So here's some hillbilly math for you. If you have a garbage can at your house, right, a 50-gallon garbage can, right, you're probably going to have 70 pounds of wire in there, 50 to 70 pounds of wire, right? Okay. So you have to be able to sort 2 of those in an hour, right? That's 100 pounds at $1 a pound. It is worth our time to sort wire. So a lot of people, wait, why do you put wire in wire buckets versus everything else? Well, wire in wire buckets, you can sort. As soon as you put wire in with pots and pans and oddball ends of shit, it's physically difficult. And we make more money on wire than anything else because it's heavy, it's dense.
Yeah.
At what point we strip it? I'd have to ask my brother that gauge. Basically, basically quarter inch or better. If it's a quarter inch or bigger, we start stripping it. And we paid, my brother and I were adverse to buying a wire stripper. We bought a wire strip. It was like $250 at Walmart.com. This a couple of years ago. And it was like going out. It was a clearance item. We're like, this is stupid. My brother and I should find the videos. Casey's got the videos. My brother and I spent 2 days, 12 hours a day, stripping wire that winter that we pulled out of this building. It was like $5,500 in wire in 2 days, like $6,000 in wire, because we stripped out the whole. Yep, but we're talking wire that's 3/4 inch thick in some spots.
Had you not stripped it and just turned it in, what's the difference in price?
That case might have been half or better because we got Bear Bright. So actually, if I look at pricing right now, right at that time, we would have probably got this wire is $230. So Romex is $185. I'm looking at pricing. TH8HN wire is probably what we would have got, which is $230. Bear Bright was $354. Oh, yeah. So we made 50% better. We went from 2.25 to 3.5 by stripping it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So exactly. And again, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I'm looking here right at current pricing, and that's what we looked at. right? We also look at the gauge of the wire. We look at what it's going to look like. Also, we had sections that were, I remember 100-foot long sections. You've seen our warehouse. We had to wrap it 100 feet in our warehouse and then have it feed, because every time the wire stripper stopped and we had to back it out and start it, it was like a 2-3 minute process. But I remember I sat there. My brother fed it. I sat there and the sheathing went in this and I coiled it and the bear bright went here and I coiled it. We had music. I think it was a Saturday, Sunday. We did that 10, 12. I mean, we did it to a point where our hands were just, maybe because you're constantly pulling the wire, our hands were just soft. It was wet and it was cold and your feet fucking hurt. And you just have to stand there. And I've done it, right? And I've also sat there and snipped a piece of wire that's a 1/2 inch long off a fucking motor because I wanted that number 2 low grade. Gotta have it, So I've done it. I've done it all. So the math of it is $100 an hour of scrapping. So wire, you can scrap it probably $200, $250 an hour, right? Because you can sort 200 to 300 pounds of wire in an hour if you have it. It's not that hard, right? You got we sort wire by 4 grades. We have shit, which goes in the sheet iron. So that's your coax. A lot of people get confused. Coax, put right with your sheet iron. Then you got data wire. So data wire, think of anything that is low voltage, USB, HDMI cables, Ethernet, right? We put it all in the same bucket. Some people sort it. They'll put Ethernet separate. Then, fine. God bless. We don't. And then we have number 2. We call it low grade wire, and that's your extension cords, your cords on appliances, right? They have power going through them, but they're not single strand. There's a lot of individual strands. Right. Sure. And then we have Romex. That's it. Those are the 4 grades of wire we typically sort. Anything beyond that, we'll put separate, and or we'll strip it, and then strip it. And then the beautiful thing about when you strip copper wire, if it's good copper wire, it'll turn out to be Bear Bright. And Bear Bright, for what we do, that's the top pricing. Okay. So, and then aluminum slows you down when you're sorting aluminum because it's light. It's just the weight's just not there. It's a pain in the ass. A lot of pots and pans, you got to take the handles off. So it's all about, can you be clipping at $100 an hour? When we used to take apart motors, it wasn't worth it. You spend a half hour, 45 minutes on a motor to get 5-7 pounds of Bear Bright at $3.50 a pound. So at best, you're pulling $25 of Bear Bright, and it's taking you 45 minutes sometimes. Not worth it. That's it.
There's the progression that I think probably happens for individuals. You tell me, obviously you're the expert. I'm the newbie. But someone coming into this industry who's doing it for themselves, if they have nothing else to take apart, they're going to take apart that motor because it's probably worth it. But if you're paying an employee to take it apart, it's not going to be worth it.
100%. And that's the other thing. With our employees in the field, we just expect them to put, sheet iron versus not sheet iron. That's it. Ferrous, non-ferrous. Does it stick to a magnet or doesn't it? And even the guys in our warehouse, there's, if we have, we do sometimes lighting jobs for commercial contractors. Well, we'll get like 200, 300 lights, fluorescent lights that are changing on with LEDs. And there I can teach the guys, pull this, pull off the plastic, that goes there. Pull out the bulbs, they go there. Pull out the sheathing or the metal sheathing, pull that. Cut, pop the 2 ballasts, they go over here. Then take the remainder right over here. And it could be because it's repeatable. But if I give you 10 lamps, all 10 of them are going to come apart different. 10 faucets, they all come apart different. 10 buckets of household shit, it's all different household shit. You can have a house that's got a bunch of nice stainless steel stuff, or a house that's got a bunch of aluminum shit. And unless you know what you're looking for and you care, because that's the other thing. You send a Gaylord out, 500-600 pound Gaylord, and they see one thing that doesn't belong, they're gonna price it like the worst item in the Gaylord. We're very particular. Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Scrapyards are fickle that way, I assume. If they see something,
they have to be. Yeah. Right. Now the flip side, if they got to go through it, they're going to maximize it because they know their shit. But that's where I learned. A lot of people, you even asked me last week, well, how'd you learn about this? I spent my ass. I went to the United Milwaukee Scrap on 84th and Call. This guy named Larry from Mississippi. I would bring a load in. I'd dump 5-gallon pail, dump it on the scale. He's like, that ain't brass. That ain't brass. That ain't brass. That's fucking die cast. That's fucking. And he would just pick my loads apart. But I would go there. I'd always go there on like a Tuesday or Wednesday because Mondays and Fridays are busy as shit at the scrapyard. Because the scrappers that, are broke through the weekend, they're coming in Monday morning, first thing. And the guy, Friday afternoon and the Saturday morning at the scrapyard, you don't want to be there. Because you got fucking North Shore Nancy Saturday afternoon with her fucking, 3 garbage cans of fucking aluminum can, and she's arguing it's 35 cents and she wanted 40. I don't fucking play those games, right? But I would go there like Tuesdays midday, and I would spend an hour. He would go through my whole load. Oh, I remember I'd get so pissed. I remember I had buckets where like, it's all nice brass at $2.20 a pound, $2.30 a pound. And all of a sudden it's like, no, this is all die cast. It's 40 cents a pound. You're like, motherfucker. And I was paying for my mortgage at the time that way. This wasn't, this was my business. So you become an expert and become friends with the scrap guy, because then they'll start sorting your loads for you and working with you on your loads, because they want to maximize their return. Yeah. They don't want to be digging in the fucking pile.
Right. Sorting stuff out there. They want it all easily, commoditized as well, I assume. Right. Sure.
And so my background's in scrap, but I'm learning e-waste now. I mean, we've been doing e-waste for 5-6 years, but I'm still learning. I sent 4 emails today asking about, hey, what am I looking at? What's the best way to sort this? I'm not even breaking it down. I just want to know, should I separate the towers from the servers, from the laptops, from the steel servers, from the regular servers?
Right.
And again, it's not super technical, but if you don't know, you don't know. And
that's right.
Go on YouTube, listen to a podcast, and then call your buyers. They want to know. They want to buy the best, highest quality stuff.
Yeah. All right. Let me ask you this then. So from a business perspective, to get in this industry, the thing that we do is remove junk from people's homes or businesses or whatever. That's what we do. All these other things that we've been talking about so far are really kind of secondary to the primary activity that really pays the bills.
Yeah.
So at what point, and I'm sure you've kind of vetted a lot of these things out and have changed, gears a number of times. At what point, like numbers, revenue or percentages wise, do you start putting effort into or focus more effort onto some of these back channel or secondary revenue streams, so to speak, right? Where you're bringing all this stuff in, and scrap is obviously one that's going to remain because that makes sense. But some of these other things like the e-waste stuff, at what point do you say this, we're going to put some effort in this because it makes sense, or it's not really working out, or it might work out today, but then the market changes. And then a month from now, no, we're going to switch, shift gears and not do this anymore.
It's no longer fun, right? I look at the fun factor, and I mean, in all honesty, right? 90% of our revenue comes from people paying me to clean out homes and businesses. That's it. I'm not right. I talk a lot about scrap because I love it. It's fun. It's fucking enjoyable.
Really? Yeah. Right.
Right. Yeah. When it's no longer fun, that's when I stopped doing it. So one of the reasons we got out of resale was it wasn't fun. Nobody wanted to do it. I don't want to sit there on a Saturday morning, nickel and diamond people and arguing with them about what stuff's worth. I'd rather just donate it. My goal is to keep it out of the landfill. If Habitat for Humanity or Goodwill, Salvation Army, Teen Challenge, a local thrift shop here, if they can keep it out of the landfill and get it to people in need, God bless. Good.
Yeah.
I'm all about that life. E-waste is fun, right? Yeah, correct. E-waste is interesting right now. And the reason it is because there's an underserved portion of the market. A lot of people say, hey, I don't know where to take this. I don't want to take this. And then I watch and I read a lot, and there's a lot of e-waste guys that are doing pretty well for themselves. So I'm like, that's interesting. Okay. And I'm like, okay, if I look at e-waste, it's pretty similar to scrap. It is metal commodities that are priced per pound. Yeah. It is something you disassemble with hand tools. Right. It's not like engines. I don't want to get involved in engines and motors, and that doesn't interest me. Right. I've done that. I've taken apart. There's plenty of places out there. If you need a automotive, they'll take care of it. Right. So e-waste, I'm like, you know what? There's a demand in the market. It's interesting. It's cleaner than engines and motors and more mechanical stuff. So yeah. And we use the e-waste. That's our top of sales funnel function. We partner with realtors to do e-waste days free for consumers, and then we use it as a way to advertise to consumers. Hey, we're subject matter experts in the field of recycling and junk removal, and we want to serve you in the community. Here's free removal with the expectation that bring us your VCR today. Call us about your couch in the basement tomorrow, and it works.
Yeah.
Right. I'm very honest about my marketing techniques because I can't outspend the big boys. I'm not going to go outspend 800 got junk on Google AdWords and, the big three, which is TV, radio, and billboard. Obviously, Google AdWords and pay-per-click online are also big now. I can't outspend them, but I can outmaneuver them.
Right.
So that's why we do things like that.
So we were talking about this earlier today, I think at one point too. E-waste can be broad, but some of these things like TVs, they caught, right? That's electronic waste as well, but that's a different than, servers and that kind of thing. So, there's different strategies on what you're doing with what electronic waste. So
I mean, we look at e-waste, there's small appliances, speakers, TVs, tube TVs, the old console TVs with wood, because those are even in other categories. And then there's CRT monitors and computer LCD monitors. And there's, your consumer electronics, which is more DVD players, VCRs, receivers. And then there's laptops, and there's towers, and then there's routers, and then there's keyboards and mice. There's all these things are e-waste. And that's what's interesting to me. That's what I'm getting involved in. That's what I'm figuring it out. I'm not an expert, right? And a lot of people are like, it's a computer. Well, yeah, there's different components to e-waste and how to maximize the return. I can tell you one thing we've been doing for years. And if you ever look downstairs, I don't know if you ever look at the one pole, every time we get a speaker in, we always break speakers up because I got a big old magnet about this size. Right. They got a big old magnet about this size, and we have a whole post. It's probably 50 magnets on there.
Yeah.
We take apart speakers why? Because magnets are expensive. That's why. Yeah. We've always taken apart speakers. Hundreds of magnets we got. That's why. That's why
they're ubiquitous in the warehouse.
I had to buy a magnet one time, and I was so fucking pissed. I'm like, there's magnets in every speaker.
That's hilarious.
So there you go. So we take apart every speaker, not because of we want to separate the wood or the plastic from the steel and the cone and whatnot, but we want the magnet. That's what we want. I want the magnet. That's it.
Well, yeah.
Just so we have more magnets laying around the shop. I don't ever want someone to say, I don't know where to find a magnet, or I went to Home Depot and spent $12 on a magnet. I don't know. Don't go to Home Depot and spend $12 on a magnet.
Yeah.
Go, there are. Yeah, I think you've seen the warehouse. We have magnets everywhere. That's very intentional. Everywhere.
100%. Yeah, they're everywhere. All right. What else would you teach? What else would you, if someone was getting into this industry, what would you tell a newbie? This is, what to expect. What are some of the pitfalls or some of the things that, you would warn them about at the beginning of their journey getting in this industry?
Well, so you started doing estimates.
Yeah.
What have you seen so far? The challenges on estimates.
Well, one of the challenges is the customer. I mean, customer changing what you estimated, what for up or down, right? You can estimate something, and then when you get there, if they've given away a couple, trailers full of goods or a couple cubic yards of appliances and whatnot, and now you've sent the team out there to move two trailers worth of junk or from their home, and there's only a trailer left. That can be a waste of resources on our end.
Yep.
And then the other way as well. It's they're adding. So it's doing estimates. You want, obviously you've got a really good system down. You've taught me. I think being accurate I think we're pretty spot on with that. It's just that the customer is the variable. That if they add things to your capacity, you could get yourself in a little bit of a problem. But then it's, communicating with them. The other thing that I've noticed is that people are, so today was one, I did one today. They were not happy that we wouldn't take paint cans full of paint and this kind of thing. So it's setting expectations with them as well, I think can be a challenge. But that's the main variable, I think is.
Well, the challenge is, right, we used to haul paint cans, and then all of a sudden I had a shed full of paint cans. And then I was like, I'm just going to go take them up there and drop them off. Well, when I was doing it on my backyard, it's just me, no big deal. But as soon as I became a commercial entity, the prices changed entirely, right? Like when you have unmarked trucks and you're going to self-help centers or transfer stations or the landfill and you're a resident, prices are low, right? Because you're residential. As soon as they figure out you're a commercial entity, it's a whole other ball game.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is like with paint cans, for example, is it's our job to have the answer still. That's the one thing that what we do different than our competition typically is we have the answers. So depending on what municipality they're at, give them the answers. And then a lot of people don't realize, like most paint cans, or most municipalities, I should say, if paint cans are latex or water-based paint, go buy some cheap kitty litter, the dollar store kitty litter, and throw it in there. It's basically the same thing as paint hardener, and it's not nearly as expensive. Throw it in there, stir it up, let it sit for a couple days. It'll harden. Once it's hard, it can go in your regular trash. That's it. No. Now, if you have oil-based paints and stains, a little bit different. You got to find a place. Here in Milwaukee, we got a place that's right next to the landfill. They're open 3 days a week. You as a resident, as long as you're in Milwaukee or Waukesha County, you can drive right in. So the challenge I give to new people in the junk removal industry is have all the answers, but don't be afraid to give them a resource that's not you. So we never use the word no. I hate using the word no. On the phone, if you're listening to me, I'll never use the word no. So when I'm faced with a challenge like paint, hey, we're not, someone's like, hey, can you take paint? Hey, we're not licensed to do that because technically once you start transporting chemicals, you need to have hazardous waste, and all that other stuff, right? And it gets into, I don't even want to mess around with it, right? So it's not a no. It's we're not authorized, licensed, able, insured, whatever the word is, right? I want to make it very clear that this isn't a choice. This is from a regulatory perspective. It's not in our best interest to do this.
Right.
So the key is having answers for people. What you never want to do is leave them without solutions. So, for example, we don't haul, earth materials, we call it. Brush, stone, dirt. It's not in our best interest. Yeah. But there's a landscaper out there that wants that job. I guarantee it. Yeah. We've done it all. What I've seen, and this came up the other day. One of our guys was like, hey, do you want to do snow removal this summer or this winter? This winter, I'm like, no, I don't want to do snow removal. Not at all. The problem with this industry is
it could be this summer.
It could be this summer, right? One of the challenges I see with people entering this industry is they're not disciplined. They want to say yes to everybody to do everything, and that can be a problem. And
right, that's what I was kind of getting on before, is that you've got this fleet of trucks, you can use them in the wintertime, but why would but if staying focused on what we do is the key. That's where 100% money. That's how you run your business. But you could use these trucks for, you could use the trucks to spread mulch. You could use the trucks to, whatever.
I could Uber. There's a lot of things I could deliver pizzas.
Right.
Right. But do I want to go deliver pizzas in a truck that gets 16 miles to the gallon and gas is $4.50 a gallon?
Right.
That doesn't, right? Some Prius out there is fucking running circles around me. I don't know. Right. I don't know if Teslas deliver pizzas, right? I don't think the Tesla crowd is in the Grubhub urban. That's the fucking business model I need to be in. Get Tesla with a solar panel at my house, Grubhub in that ass, right? I used to deliver pizza. Seriously though, here's the deal. If you go pick up a buddy or a chick or someone in your Tesla and it smells like Jimmy's Chicken Shack and ribs.
It's salt of the earth. Yeah,
I'm good with. I delivered pizzas growing up. That's the industry I grew up in. I got no shame in that. But I did a 1990 Cavalier. Like the expectation was it was going to smell like shit in my car. All right, like it smelled like fried. Oh yeah, 100%. It smelled like fried chicken 24/7 in my Cavalier. Right?
I'm hungry when I get in your car.
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know if I would do that in a Tesla. Certainly would do it in a work truck. No, well, you saw it. You've asked me, hey, would we do this job? I'm like, we have. I'm not going to do it again because I've already done it.
Good stories, though. I will tell you.
Great stories.
That you've done, but one story is enough.
That's it. I've already taken down our first summer in business. Like we were 6 weeks into summer, and we took down this radio antenna. It was 65 feet in the air. I charged $500. I'm like, oh yeah, that's $500. I'm gonna fucking kill it. Send my brother up there, couple cuts, no big deal. Plus, I'm gonna scrap it. It's gonna be awesome. $487 in safety gear later. Sorry, we returned most of the safety gear. My dad was pissed too. slightly used. My dad was pissed because I was out at a networking event, and my brother's 65 feet in the air taking out a radio tower. And then later he's like, hey, it was 75 feet, not 65 feet. I said, I didn't fucking know. I didn't climb up there. It looked dangerous. I sent my 23-year-old brother up there, took care of it. It came down. There was videos on Instagram, I think. Probably one of the most dangerous things we've done, and now we're good. But you know what, though? Here's the deal. One of my mentors, Carl Munkwitz from First Weber Realtors here in Southeast Wisconsin, he taught me something years ago, and I forgot it, and he reminded me of it. He taught me this probably my first 2 months of business. And this is something that I want, whatever. This is a way to pass on his legacy. He's still alive, but God bless him. He said, now, Andy, don't forget, these are the good old days.
Yeah.
And that's what's interesting. I think about driving around with my dad, picking up stuff on the side of the road or driving through alleys. I think about my time in 2009 when I got laid off and I fell back on doing scrap. And tearing down the radio antenna, or even now with you, Ken, right? Like we're episode 7. Taylor told me 7. Episode 7 here of this podcast. And, it's easy in this industry and in any industry to get caught up in the numbers and caught up in the frustrations, but you also got to celebrate the victories, celebrate the wins, right? When you got that estimate that was done right, or when you got that job that just fit, or when the guy's got a big old tip for doing something simple, or, that's one of the things that's what makes me addicted to this industry. You talked about earlier at the top of the program about the treasures. And yeah, there's tons of shit I find. You're looking around my office here, from Jordan and Brett Favre to the craps table, like all this stuff came off of jobs. But that's the good stuff in this industry that I lost when I was out of it for 2 years. I lost those interactions with employees and customers and the random finds, because that's what keeps you addicted to this industry. Like you, I did concrete, and before that I did remodeling. You kind of build one bathroom, you kind of built them all. Concrete don't fucking change. It's a stone. I did sidewalk. It's still concrete. You walk on it, it'll last for 50 fucking years. Yeah. My girlfriend gives me shit whenever we're walking somewhere in Milwaukee. If it's a neighborhood I know I've been in, I'm looking at all the stones because I want to see a stone that I've been on before. She's thinking you're stupid. I was like, I don't care. I'm looking for that Sonorak. Sonorak 2009, 10 or 11. Yeah, I did that. That's right. But in junk removal, you get the opportunity every day to make an impact on people's houses and their businesses. And then also find some cool shit that probably hasn't seen the light of day for a long ass time.
Right. Here's the thing too, that I now being in it for 3 weeks, I know that I've heard here that we separate ourselves and kind of distinguish ourselves from our competition by really not taking everything just directly to the landfill. Are there?
Yeah.
And our customers love that. I had an estimate today with a couple who has been in their home for 42 years and they're moving out, they're downsizing, and they've got a lot of stuff, and they were concerned because a lot of it's in really good shape, and they just didn't want it going right to the dump. They wanted to know if it could be donated or if it could be reused or something. And I was proud to say that, this is our kind of our ethos, so to speak, right? This is what we try to do. We try to keep everything out of landfill if we can, donate it if it's, furniture that's in good shape. And my question is, are there any other competitors that sort to the level that we do, or are they all kind of just take it to the landfill type?
No, my argument has always been the same. I'm actually pulling up stats right now, so I'm fresh. So recycling, so about 1/3 of the waste. This is waste that goes in the waste that everyone generates. About 1/3 of it can be recycled or composted. Right, that's not a great stat. If you look up like some of the national competitors, they'll say that that they keep 40 to 60, they recycle 40 to 60% of material. That's a big range. My argument has been the same since day one. It is simple. If you look at most junk removal companies, they go out there, they got anywhere from like a 14.3 to an 18 cubic yard dump truck on an Isuzu 4500 or 5500 chassis,
Right.
whatever, right? The challenge is when you're paying entry-level guys and girls wages that are they're banging jobs, are how much effort are they going to put in sorting material when they know they can just drive up to that landfill, press the button, and have it dump out the ass end?
Right. Yeah.
That's always been my argument, right? So for us, one of the things that we've always done is we've always loaded utility trailers or now our box trucks with material. And because we do that, we load it by hand, we unload it by hand, we bring it back to our warehouse, and it makes a conscious decision and other people's eyes on it to say, oh, this can go here, this can go there. You know, I've had employees that have come in here and they're like, oh, just take it all to landfill. It's all fucking trash. You're like, nope, bring the load back here. And all of a sudden, half the load is, you know, MSW, you know, landfill down, you know, or landfill bound, but the other half has something to it, right? It can go into our one dumpster that goes and gets shredded up to the wood. It can get possibly donated, like outdoor patio furniture. Hit it with a hose, it's good to go, right? And most outdoor patio furniture, if not, break out the glass and recycle it, you know, and scrap it. So that's the challenge. It's not I'm not saying people are bad; they just don't know. And when you make it easy to go to the landfill and just fucking dump it out the ass end, people are going to do what's best for them. That's it. Sure. So it's a question of the model and the type of processes that are in place and people that aren't well trained and well diverse in this industry. Yeah. Now, on the flip side, I worked for Waste Management and I saw drivers that knew everything there was to know, and they'd be like, oh, I don't fucking care, right? They'd have a whole load of recyclables and they're like, oh, the MRF, the materials recovery facility, is closing. Oh, I'm going to say it's contaminated. I'm going to take it to the landfill. I'm going to dump a load that's 99% recyclables because it's inconvenient for me to go to the MRF because the MRF is backed up. And all they got to do is say, oh, yeah, I picked up a can. It was contaminated. There's a bunch of food waste in there. And then they have to dump it in the landfill. So there's a lot of patching going on here. Our internet connection is unstable. So that's all right. We'll just keep jumping in here. So let's talk on the front end. So we talked a lot about back end, and that's my world. I love the back end of things. What comes back to the warehouse? What do we do with material? How do we keep it on the landfill? What have you seen so far on the front end as far as, you know, doing jobs, that the variety of jobs that come in? What have you seen from our business that leads you to believe that we're successful versus, you know, the competition or just successful in general?
Yeah, a couple of things that stick out to me really. Put some credence into it. This is maybe not in any particular order, but one thing is that the ratings that we get from our customers show that you're successful. I mean, every review that you see about this company, there's many of them, and we don't ask for reviews that I've seen. They are all glowing, and this is long before clearly I came here. But there's that shows your success. Your customer service here is second to none. So that's number one. Plus the referrals we get. At least two of the estimates I did today were my neighbor used you and they highly recommend you. That's a measure of success right there. You get referrals, we're good to go. I went to the gas station to fill up one of our trucks last week, and one of the people working there had said, everybody that comes in here from your company are so nice. All the guys are totally respectful. That's another measure of success. The phone is ringing. I see the revenue coming in. The dollars are there. That's all great. But the real measure of success, in my opinion, and this is just maybe not from a business perspective, but the culture here. I think the culture, guys are happy here. They stick around. We've got a really good core group of people, I think, that really are passionate about doing a good job. They probably would be successful other places as well, but they want to do a good job. And I think there's a lot to be said about that. So this company in particular, from the business standpoint, from the actual what we do, junk removal, the processes that we have here, this is the thing that's interesting. You know, we have 20,000 square feet, and it can be misutilized really quickly if you let it get out of control. But there are processes here that allow us to really knock out a lot of big jobs in the last couple of weeks. The first 2 weeks I was here, I don't know what, comparatively, but there seemed to be a lot of big jobs. We went from having that open house you had the week before to being at capacity here within probably 3 days. And then the process of sorting and getting it moved through the facility, whether it's be resale, recycle, e-waste, moving it down to our partners that take care of that, getting that through. That's the key to being successful in this industry. If you're going to do it the way that we do it, if we're really going to load box trucks and put everything in and sort everything out by hand, then you have to be a very process driven, organization that's disciplined to follow in that process. Otherwise this whole thing goes off the rails quickly. And so, long before I got here, you guys set up good processes, which really sets you up for success. If the phone can ring, but if you're not providing customer service, no one's going to refer you, and you're going to have to do a lot of extra legwork to try to generate business.
Yeah, that's where and that's where the challenge I think I see in a lot of other companies is they don't want to do the process or follow the process. That's what it comes down to. They don't have a process. It's kind of willy-nilly, and if you just go willy-nilly all the time, it's gonna be a struggle. Yeah. So no, I can.
It does take accountability to hold tight to a process. I'm not always a process guy, but processes are hard. You have to be accountable to each other to follow the process, because typically one or maybe a few people set the processes up, and they can be seen as, or the perspective may be that they're a burden to people who have to follow them then. But if you let them get out of control, the burden, it becomes real to everybody, because then you have to dig yourself out and try to figure it out, so that's the other portion of it.
Yeah, no, that's it. No, I appreciate that, because again, like I said at the top, I've been doing this a long time, and I forget why, or what we're doing right. A lot of times I can tell you what we're doing wrong, and that's where I focus a lot of my energy on. Yeah. But it's also important in this industry you focus on what you're doing right, and it's important that you see what's going on in your business, and people figure out, like scrapping. I do scrapping. I'm not saying everyone should go out and get involved major in scrapping. Hey, figure out what you do well, and figure out how to get paid for it. Yeah. Right. So within the junk rental industry, like I was talking about resale, I can't stand resale. I know some people that make a lot of money. They make just as much money reselling as they do, banging jobs. God bless. But just have that process in place to communicate effectively with your team and your customers. What are the expectations? And so you can double down on what you're really good at. Yeah. That's what it comes down to. And with you coming new to the industry, coming in and seeing what we're doing right from a new perspective, a new set of eyeballs, that's huge. Yeah. Because what I think we do right and what you think we do right are different. And that's the other thing. I would challenge a lot of people here. A lot of junk removal companies kind of hide behind, we're a junk removal company. But no, be proud of the industry you're in, but also have people come out and look at your processes and see if it makes sense to them. Because if it doesn't make sense to the average person, how are you going to train, coach, and mentor a new employee on it?
Right. I like the fact also that you're not opposed to changing things if you think that it could be improved upon.
Fuck no.
Not change for change's sake, but change for improving. Or cutting things out, like the resale shop, which just was a recent cut. Things like that, cutting it out. We have opened up real estate, and that real estate, I was here during doing a walkthrough with you. The first tour you gave me, I think the resale shop was, going away pretty soon, but it was still full of all the resale material. And then the next time I was here, it was empty for an open house. And then the next time I was here, I was working here, and it was full of e-waste. So, so that's what I've seen in one, however many square feet are in that area.
But that area is about 2,500 square feet.
Yeah. And and it didn't fill up completely, but there were, week number 2 here, that was pretty full of e-waste for a while, right?
Yeah. Now most of it, all that shipped out, and there's a new batch, or it's either been shipped out or it's in overhead storage. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen that progression.
It's evolving.
That 25,000 square feet, 2,500 square feet being utilized in 3 different ways in 4 weeks, really.
Yeah.
And right now it's being utilized, in those last 4 weeks. That's probably, really most efficiently right now.
Yes.
We're still able, because it's in flux. It's not always full. Other things can happen in there. We're moving material through, recycling, keeping stuff out of landfill. I think it's fascinating. And I've seen other things happen here like that as well. You mentioned it before, the aluminum breakage, right? Was an example. Let's not put any effort into that right now because the market dictates to us.
Correct. Market dictates there. And actually one of the things we'll wrap on this point is a lot of people, when it comes to their space, they confuse working surfaces with storage surfaces, myself included. Yeah. And it's tough, right? Yeah. I like wide open space because it gives me a place to work. Yeah. But then understand working versus storage, it's important you differentiate those two so that how much space you can utilize, because once you utilize too much space, then you don't have enough room to work. And when you don't have enough room to work, you're not going to be efficient. And you got to be able to communicate that effectively to your team members so that they know the difference. Because I don't want to have empty warehouse, right? That means we're not banging jobs, or we're not, we have opportunities to store product and store material until we get the max price for it, for example. Yeah. But I don't want to see it full to the gills where you can't walk through it either. So understand what the best alignment is there is key. I don't care if you have 700 square foot garage or 700,000 square foot warehouse. You got to understand what your space is used for and utilize it the best possible. Do it safely and yet efficiently. So
right. No, absolutely.
All right. So processes, people, product, right? The 3 P's of business, right? Especially this business. So, hey, appreciate it, Ken. You're going to continue to grow in this industry, continue to find treasures. Yep. And, I'll see you in about 2 minutes when we go back downstairs and get back to work here. So, and keep tuning in. Actually, it was funny. You said, hey, I listen to your podcast this week. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's funny. You're listening to my podcast. We spent 8 hours a day together. But, continue to get, maybe it'll be something you learn from the podcast. Yeah, exactly. Long road trips, listen to Trash Talk Business Podcast. You might learn something. For Casey Bubba Lawrence, who's having a baby today, Ken Oliver, and Andy Weins, appreciate having you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.